know the rules, know what you're getting into, and the candidacy you save may be your own. That, to some extent, I think people can understand. And the reason why they can understand it is because you don't want someone who is not part of your political ideology to come in and take your nomination. I get that. However, when you start saying to people, come out and vote and let us know who your choice is, and then that vote turns out a certain way, but then there are those who are not bound by your vote saying, I don't care what you said, I'm still going this way because that's what the rules allow me to do. That's a totally different thing than what we're seeing on the Republican side. By the way, folks, we got a chat room going here as we're broadcasting live on Spreaker, and we are also live on High Plains Talk Radio Network. Glad to be on there with y'all. I hope I said that right. I'm a boy from the People's Republic of New York City. Got a little bit of that Brooklyn accent going on, but we appreciate all our listeners in the High Plains areas in Texas and in the South and Southwest and wherever you may be listening tonight. But we got a chat room going here live and scanning some of the comments. By the way, if you want to go into the chat room while you're listening to us live, click on www.behindenemylines.radio.us, the Listen Live button right there at the top, and you'll go into the chat room. You get to hang out, and the conversation right now is saying that the DNC motto is vote early and often, even if you're dead. I like that comment from Dano. He's got a couple of good ones tonight, and you know what? He's absolutely right. Hillary is basically getting cover from her own party because even they don't want Bernie Sanders as the leader of the free world. And Andre Walker will get into that. I don't want to steal his joke. He has a great monologue coming up at the bottom half of the hour, folks. Stick around for it. It is phenomenal. I'm a big fan of Andre Walker. I'm glad that he's back this week with one of his weekly monologues. But back on topic. The folks at MSDNC are actually livid about this because it's undeniable that this is the very definition of voter disenfranchising. Listen, we just got through with a state on the GOP side, Wisconsin, that has some of the strictest voter ID laws, and yet there was a record turnout for the GOP primary. Again, voter ID laws did not stop a record turnout coming out to vote in the GOP primary in Wisconsin. Democrats are the ones that say we don't even need to check ID when you go vote, because that's how important voting is. That we need to make sure that everybody has a chance to vote, not just those who have the ID. And yet, when you come out to vote, your vote means diddly squat to them in their elections, because it's already rigged. I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm going back to Morning Joe, because believe it or not, Joe Scarborough agrees with me.
Okay, but I'm talking about the Democrats for now. Fair. Let's talk about the Democrats for now.
We didn't say that.
Here is a party who sends their activists out and have people chattering on TV and chattering on talk radio about voter disenfranchisement if you make somebody show a picture of themselves. This same party tells voters to go straight to hell when they select somebody by 12 percentage points and end up letting the other candidate who lost by 12 percentage points win the most delegates. That, by definition, is voter disenfranchisement. So it is a rigged system on the Democratic side, even worse than the Republican side. And I don't know why Democratic voters put up with it.
If you say those are the rules, I'm going to lunge at you.
I agree with everything you said, except I wouldn't say it's rigged. It's not rigged. It's disenfranchisement. It's not one person, one vote.
What do you call it when voters going to the voting booth doesn't matter
at
as
all.
much as insiders?
A messed up system.
That is a rigged.
It's not rigged.
It is a system rigged against voters. It's a system rigged against people that go to voting booths. It's a system rigged against people that go out to caucuses. It is a system that is rigged in favor of the rich and the powerful and the politically connected. Bernie Sanders wins by 12 percentage points. So he wins 56 to 44. Now let's look at the delegate count.
He didn't get any super
Put him
delegates.
up. Okay, and after winning by 12 percentage points,
he's losing.
He loses Wyoming,
he's losing
where it counts by
primary.
4 delegates, 11-7. Now, John Heilman, if that is a system that is not rigged against voters and rigged in favor of the rich and powerful, please tell me one that is.
It definitely is, Joe Scarborough. And I'm not going to let Mark Heilman from Bloomberg answer that because, the clip goes on to talk about, the rules, the scheme. The clip's on the YouTubes. You can go check it out yourself. It's fun to watch it all burn down, folks, isn't it? It's fun to watch MSDNC basically implode on air. And everyone's in agreement. That's the scary thing. Even Mark Halpern is saying, yes, it's voter disenfranchising to be able to go out and vote and then have it be meaningless and canceled out by superdelegates. That's a glaring admission. And again, compare now to what's going on with the Republican side. The Republicans are complaining about a state committee at a state convention, pursuant to the state party rules, doing what they've done in past presidential cycles. And that's vote. Those votes mean something. One could absolutely argue that not having citizens voting is disenfranchising. I say to those people, petition your state committee. Petition your party. You're the ones who elect the state committee. You're the ones who elect the party reps. Get them out of there if that's what you want. But understand that whether you're talking about Democrats or Republicans, the House always wins. It's just a matter to what degree we're talking about here. The House winning on the Republican side is having state insiders vote. The House winning on the Democratic side are having you vote and making you think you matter, and then it not mattering at all. Pick your poison, America, because that's what you're dealing with right now. But let's say Hillary gets the nomination. That's going to be the likely scenario, right? What exactly are we in for as far as policy? And I don't want to bore you guys with the wonk. You know how we like to get wonky here behind enemy lines sometimes. But I just want to talk to you about, real quickly, Hillary Clinton's $1 trillion tax hike plan, as released earlier this week at Americans for Tax Reform. That's Grover Norquist's group, for those of you who don't know. Check out www.atr.org. It breaks it down for you, but I'm going to do it really quickly here for you. Parts of the Clinton tax plan include a $350 billion income tax for a, quote, new college compact. So you're going to raise income taxes to feed an already broken education system at the higher level. Let me give you a little secret about higher education, folks. The reason why college, especially private institutions, are so expensive these days is because government has bloated the system to the point where the free market is no longer in control. Because there is so much federal money, the Pell Grants, the Stafford loans. I'm probably dating myself with some of these, because these are some of the things that I got when I was in college, once upon a time, way back in the golden olden days. But now you have these prices higher, so what's the government solution? Raise more money and bilk you, the taxpayer, out of more money to sustain an unsustainable system. If government wasn't involved in higher education, prices would be down because there wouldn't be as much, quote-unquote, free money out there. You would see the prices of education going down. You would see educational system becoming more efficient. And, dare I say it, you may even see some less than liberal professors teaching. Heavens forbid. But I digress. So this tax hike is for also caps itemized deductions. Think about that. So now, the point of, having a sound tax policy is to balance rewards and penalties, to balance the need for money versus the need to have a healthy economy. So let's just put another $350 billion in income tax on you, the taxpayer, after 8 years where your money has decreased, your earnings have decreased, your property values have decreased, your percentage of ownership has decreased in property, your wealth has decreased, but your tax burdens keep going up. But let's continue. $275 billion business tax increase. Now that got you going both ways. That will fund, quote-unquote, infrastructure. Gee, I wonder what that means. More government, bigger government. Your guess is as good as mine. Undefined business tax reform. That's what they're calling it. It's not an increase, it's a reform. I don't know what that means, folks, but that means that not only are you getting it on your income, the businesses are getting it on the other end. So now there are also additional tax increases which make up this difference. Of course, we're talking about taxing the 1%, capital gains tax increase to counter, quote-unquote, the tyranny of today's earning reports. This is Wall Street Hillary talking about earning reports. You know, the one who gets Goldman Sachs money for showing up to talk to a few people. We got to tax the rich. You know, that's part of the narrative, folks. But make no mistake, you're also getting taxed, too, because there's going to be a tax on stock trading. An unquantified tax on stock trading is part of our plan that further burdens markets by discouraging trading and investment. So that's going to hit your 401k, folks. Millions of American families that have IRAs, savings accounts, 401ks, CDs. Congratulations, you make a trade, you're getting taxed on it. So, you know, tax the 1%, tax everybody. Clinton doesn't care. Then there's proposed, and this has got to be the best one of all. This has got to be the end-all and be-all about taxing from the Clinton tax hike plan. It's being called an exit tax, a series of measures aimed at corporate inversions. You know what those are, right? The companies that close up shop here, sell off to a foreign company that has a more favorable tax climate, and invert, no matter what size they are, into that tax plan so that they save money, American money going overseas, all because companies are smarter than you think, folks. They want to alleviate their tax burden and tax avoidance. Remember what I said last week about President Obama saying that tax avoidance is bad? No, it's not. Tax avoidance is an American value. Tax avoidance is what we do every year, this time of year, when we go to our accountant and say, save me as much as you can. Use the laws that are available to save me what you can. Give me the marital deduction. Give me the earned income tax credit for children. Give me all this stuff. Just so I don't have to pay as much as I should be paying if those rules weren't there. Tax avoidance is as American as apple pie, folks. Don't kid yourself about that. So this exit tax will be aimed at those corporations who would go overseas and earn overseas. And, of course, you know, this program would completely fail to address inversions. Inversions will still happen. But you know what? It's a feel-good thing. They're claiming $80 billion will be plowed into tax relief. But they're saying it's going to raise $80 billion in tax revenue from these inversions. No, it won't, because you can't legislate behavior. Government tries to build a better mousetrap, and it never happens, folks. What'll end up happening is they'll find another corporate loophole, and they'll get creative, as smart people do, and they'll find a new way. Here's a perfect example of not being able to legislate behavior. Here in the People's Republic of New York City, we have Metro cards that we use to scan to get onto public transportation. They put a $1 fee on every Metro card that you would get here in the People's Republic of New York. The MTA in New York State did that, thinking they'd raise so much money from people who dispose of their Metro card just picking up a new one. Well, guess what happened? People stopped throwing away their Metro card, and they didn't get as much money as they thought. You can't legislate behavior. There's always going to be a better and bigger way to make the mousetrap. This is what you're in for, thanks to a rigged system. See how I'm bringing it all together now, folks? This is what you get for having a rigged system in your political process. You're going to end up with a tax plan like that from Hillary Clinton. Forget about the fight for 15 and all this other stuff. I mean, you know, we get comments in the chat room saying how robots work for pennies and don't complain and still make money for corporations. Another example of building the bigger, better mousetrap, right? You got to get all these arguments 2 and 4 regarding, you know, the tax plans and all this stuff. But it's all coming out of a rigged system, folks. That's what you have to remember from the Democrat side. It was rigged from day one when Hillary Clinton made her announcement. Even before that she was going to be the nominee. We're at halftime here, folks. I want to thank everybody for listening to Behind Enemy Lines Radio. Check us out at www.behindenemylinesradio.us. Check us out on Facebook and the Twitters